Hello, everybody. It's Monday night. I'm surrounded by all my mates, and that can only mean one thing. It's time to talk football on the Woolcast. This week, I'm joined by Gav, Grizz, Keith, and Ian, and we've a lot to get through because for a week where we've made no transfers, it's been a damn busy week. The first thing I thought we'd talk about, lads, is our new chief executive, Peter Moore. He's been very busy on social media of late, and personally I think the stuff he's doing is brilliant, but there's been a couple of fans who think that it's not very becoming of a chief executive to be interacting with fans on social media and having a bit of a laugh, because apparently he needs to be chained to his desk and do nothing but try and push transfers through. So Gav, what's your take on Peter Moore? Are you happy to see him interacting with the fans, or do you think it's absolute codswallop that he's doing it?
I don't know, I'm all for it. I don't see the problem in it. He's in a job. He's going to be doing the job that he's paid to do. But look, he's on social media. He's having a little bit of fun, especially around the Mo Salah thing. He had a little bit of fun, and why not? Like if we get a fella in and he's not seen and he's accused of spending all his time in London and he doesn't interact with fans and we get no information out of him, we're crying over that. So can the chap win? I don't know if he can. He stays quiet and it's a problem. He has a bit of fun with the fans. There's a problem. I think that was him just trying to break the ice. I think with fans. I don't think it was him trying to be smart or trying to be funny. I think it was just like a little icebreaker, to show the sort of person he is. But look, he's having a bit of fun on Twitter. What's the problem? I've seen somebody refer to him as he's like he's the equivalent of David Gold. There's a David Gold at West Ham, and
yeah,
because he's an absolute fruit.
Without
fruit
the porn,
cake, Yeah. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that. But I don't see a problem in it. Like, he's obviously doing his job. It's not as if he's sitting on Twitter all day. He's just having the opposite fun with people, and I don't see it. I don't see an issue with it. Like, let the man go on and do what he's doing.
Ian, I want to come to you next because Peter Moore is a Liverpudlian, and some people seem to think that's just the Liverpudlian's nature to be cheeky and kind of interact with people like that. What do you think?
Not really, mate. I know loads of dickheads who are from Liverpool. You know what I mean? So he just seems to be a sound fella, you know what I mean? Like Gav just said there, he can't win, no matter... That's the way Twitter is these days, and you cannot win. You can't please everyone. So you best just be in yourself. I'm sure privately he's fantastic at his job. Look at the companies he's worked for. So I'm sure he's extremely professional when he needs to be. But if he wants to let off a bit of steam and get to know people, or you know what I mean, or basically just see people chatting absolute shit on Twitter and think, I'm going to put him in his place, which he has done with a couple of accounts that I can't stand. He's done it early doors, and I don't really see the harm in it. He's quite funny. You know what I mean? What harm can he do?
It's all fun and games until he comes out with a picture of Robbie Fowler on his shoulders, locked in a hotel room somewhere.
Well, that's the thing, mate. Innit? He's laughing and joking, whereas the last fella we had thought he was fucking easy rider. Do you know what I mean? So let's just decide which is more laughable. Do you know what I mean? And for different reasons. But long may it continue. I think he's coming across as sound. Like, as long as he does his job well first and foremost, then you know what I mean. He's a man. He's got an opinion. He can share it. Doesn't bother me.
Grizz, you're a man that's fairly active on social media. What's your take on this?
Do you know what? There's a couple of ways of looking at this. Do you know, I actually see it as a sign of confidence, because he's a very clever man, right? He doesn't reach where he's reached by being, a thicko, right, and not savvy, right, in every kind of department, right? For the way I'm looking at it, and to be honest with you, at first I thought, no, this could go pear-shaped. I mean, he walked into the job, interacting with fans, cracking the odd joke, no problem. But then I thought, imagine, things don't get done in the transfer market. We don't make the signings that we're supposed to make, and he's just, that could go very, very pear-shaped. But it's raised my confidence levels in terms of, I think he knows what he's doing. I think it's all under control. I think he knows, or the club know that certain deals are in place and they will be making them deals and things will happen. And I think it's a sign of confidence that he's interacting with, fans on the side as well. So far, I haven't got an issue. My only issue would be, as I said, if things didn't go right in the sort of what his actual job. He's not performing to the best of his ability in the job wise. Then I think that could go very, very pear shaped, because we all know, especially me, that how social media can rip you to shreds at times. So
Can I just say, right, at the minute he's interacting on a personal level, isn't he? He's not putting any private business out there. Like you compared him to that West Ham fella before, and they announce signings, don't they, 4 days before, or we're going to bid 20 million for such and such, and he's not doing anything like that, is he? He's
you're right. No,
he's just joking.
He's having a bit of crack with the odd fan here and there. I mean, as I said, it's all relative. If he does his shit off the pitch, then crack on, man. It's all well and good. I mean, I'd say he has to be a bit careful as the season progresses and as time goes by. But I think he will. I think he's a very, very smart and shrewd man.
Keith, surely in this day and age, interacting with and social media is going to be part of a chief executive job.
I think he's the perfect chief executive to do it. I think if you get one man who has his fingers on the pulse when it comes to football fans, you put it to the guy who pretty much helped relaunch FIFA's career and having FIFA being popular amongst football fans up and down the country. He's definitely a man who knows what people like within the entertainment business. He knows how to say the right things and how not to say the right things. I think it's a massive coup that Liverpool have him in the first place. And I think this added personality that he's given away. He's not given away too much. He's quite, he doesn't say, but he has a laugh with the fans. And I think that he knows how to have a laugh with the fans. He knows how not to step over the line. And ultimately, fans should be, particularly fans who are from Liverpool, should see this as a fantastic story of a man who, comes from Liverpool, watched the games at Liverpool when he was a youngster, moved over to America, made a complete success of himself, and has now brought his success back to Liverpool and hopefully will steer us in the right direction with signing. So, he's the right man to be able to do it and be able to banter with the fans. He's not some kind of old relic who's way out of touch and is therefore going to be a threat to live the kind of the Liverpool hierarchy.
You know what, man? The man's been on South Park. You got to get some props for that one.
Exactly. So, he's a funny guy. He wouldn't be doing this, I don't think, if he didn't know that he could play it right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's a confident guy, and that comes across in the way he's interacting with fans. Gav, you wanted to come back in on this?
Yeah, no, just listen to the lads there. Like Keith said, he has got his finger on the pulse, because if you watch some of he's blatantly making reference to stuff that's said on social media and kind of debunking them. Like the Salah one, I think it was somewhere along the lines of sending Salah back to Egypt on a plane and hashtag that's the budget gone and stuff like that. I think that was him that done it, but he definitely is watching. He's obviously watching social media and he's confident enough to go in and do it. But the key for him is, if things go like Grizz said, if you come near the end of the transfer window and, for argument's sake, there's a player we're after and we don't manage to get it over the line, he could come in for a bit of stick. And it's then when he reacts, if he's willing to go on social media then and react, would be a big test of, is this all kind of, what way would you say it? Is this kind of like his way of introducing himself and, playing a little game, not playing a game, but interacting and stuff like that. But then if something does go wrong, is he willing to come on when things are slightly
bad? And then face the music as well.
And still interact, So that might be a test for him in the future. But he's like all the lads said, a very intelligent bloke. He definitely has a sense of humour. And at the end of the day, like, the most important man at this club, in my opinion, is Jurgen Klopp. And we love nothing more than Jurgen Klopp coming out and interacting with people and, having a sense of humour, putting the journalists down in a funny way. We love nothing more than that. So if a CEO wants to do it as well, all power to him.
I mean, the manager's walking around with a fucking umbrella on his head.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he? He's like, he's great. Like, could you imagine Hodgson walking around with a fucking umbrella on his head? You know what I mean? It'd be just, he'd be lynched.
He would, yeah.
But
Him and Roberto Martinez walking around with one of his head. But
Kloppo sitting in a beater, like, you know, on a sun lounger with a fucking umbrella stuck to the top of his head, drinking wine or whatever.
Do you know,
He doesn't
what I
care.
like
I love
most
that.
about those pictures, actually? There's one in particular where he looked very suave in a baseball cap. He's got a glass of sparkling wine or something in his hand, but he still has his fucking freebie New Balance t-shirt on.
Yeah, no, he's great. But you see, that's the thing. Like, you know, if he was the complete opposite, people saying, look at him, he's a miserable fucker, you know. But he's not. And you know, this lad is the CEO. He obviously has that charisma about him as well. So there's no issue. I'd never have an issue with that. You know, never.
Slightly on the same topic, lads. What do we make of these new way of introducing players and kits that seems to have popped up this season, where everyone's trying to fucking outdo each other? Aston Villa are making a complete balls of it. Anything that's stood out apart from like Roma seems to be fair. I think everyone accepts that Roma's was pretty damn good. The FIFA reveal.
I didn't see Roma. I didn't see the Roma one.
I can't remember the player now, but basically, long story short, on the screen, Roma playing on the screen on FIFA. This particular player playing for them goes, scores, camera zooms out, control in his hand, zooms out to the player, points at the shirt, Roma shirt, and kind of, you know, here I am.
Yeah, I seen another one. I know the Villa one was. It was oh god, it was a car crash. The Villa one, but I seen another one. I think it was Yeovil. Was it Yeovil that announced the player by using the new Snapchat? The new thing on Snapchat where you can actually see the map as to where you've been. You know, like
a
on
stalker's
Snapchat
paradise, that isn't it?
Yeah.
You sure you're not getting mixed up with Pokemon Go again?
No. Like it is something like it's actually similar to that. I don't have Snapchat, but apparently on Snapchat it's you can hit a function and it shows the map as to where you've done your Snapchats. Okay,
so it'll show your location. So have your head bobbled in a particular place in the country.
Exactly. So what Yeovil done was they actually showed two Snapchats together, and it's basically this player that was signing for them and their managing director, and they're both in the same place, and then it obviously cuts to the two of them standing on the pitch with the jersey. I've seen that one, which wasn't like, look, no, all of them are acceptable now after what Villa done today.
What did Villa do? I haven't even seen it.
It was like a WhatsApp. It was like a WhatsApp reveal, wasn't it? It was like
it was like a conversation that was cringy as fuck.
Steve Bruce is texting the doctor, and the doctor's replying, and then all of a sudden players come on and make comments, and it was awful. Really.
I was saying this on Twitter earlier on. There's only one way that John Terry should have been revealed at Villa. So cut to this, right? Shot Villa celebrating winning the cup. All of a sudden you look to the stands. John Terry comes running out in his Chelsea kit, taking it off bit by bit, starting to reveal the Villa shirt. Then he goes full kit wanker straight into the photo with the lads celebrating with the medal around his neck.
That would have won.
Yeah.
That would have won, hands down. That would have won.
Or you could have it, them all celebrating on the pitch, pan round to John Terry in the executive box, and he's hanging out of Doug Ellis's widow because he's a dirty bastard.
All that. All that.
Oh God.
One of the
we may
others.
need to edit that.
I think we need to start a side business here.
Oh no, we need to move on, and I think we need to move on really quickly.
Right, so that's
amazing.
Talking about players, player power seems to be pretty prevalent at the minute. I suppose all of us want Keita and Van Dijk to put their foot down and try and force their way out of the club, but in this day and age where contracts seem to mean nothing in football anymore, and it's all down to the player, what do we think about this? Is it right that the players have so much say, or would you like to see some club have the balls to say, you know what, you're sitting in the reserves for 5 years, we don't give a shite about the money, we're making a stance here, we're sick of players walking all over us? Ian, what's your take on that?
I don't. A bit of both, really. I would like to see a club stand up for themselves and just. You're talking one of the really rich clubs, though, aren't you? Like a City
or an Abramovich or something that just doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. A City
money.
or a Chelsea or a PSG. Money means nothing, so they can just say, like, "Fuck off, go and sit down." But on the flip side of that, I've got no problem with the players having all the power, because let's be honest, if a player's not playing well or whatever, they're just commodities to the clubs. The clubs move on regardless. You know what I mean? They use the players to get the best out of them. Either sell them on for a profit or just run them into the ground till they're finished anyway. So there's no loyalty from the clubs to a player who loses form or, you know what I mean, isn't as good anymore. So You know what I mean? Swings and roundabouts. I'm all right with it, to be honest. It works. Coming from we're a big side, so it'll benefit us more than it won't, if you know what I mean. If you're a lower down side and you're trying to keep hold of your best players, then you've got more vultures circling around you. Whereas we really only have to deal with the likes of Madrid or Barcelona or someone along those lines. Whereas someone like a Hull, it's basically the entire Premier League can do it to their players, if you know what I mean. So I suppose it matters where you are in the food chain. So we're quite high up, so it probably doesn't bother me as much. But like I say, if you're not doing too well, the club's got no problem in just getting rid of you or, you know what I mean, not renewing your contract. So it works both ways.
So let me say this to you then, right? Felipe Coutinho this summer, there's been a few murmurings about PSG and Barcelona, which, look, none of us know are true, but are probably not. But what if it was true and he dug his heels in and he decided, that's it, you know what, fuck this, I want out of here?
I'd be fine with it. I mean, I wouldn't be fine with him going because as much as I love the guy, but you've got to look. We've done it to loads of players. Like when we want players to come, we're saying it right now about Virgil van Dijk. Why can't he just bang a transfer request in? And so you can't have it one way and then complain when it happens to you. You've got to be, you know what I mean. You've got to be open to both sides. If he wants to go, like I say, we're a higher up side. So Barcelona, Real Madrid, the two of the best sides, if not the best two sides in the world. So if a player gets to the level where he can play for them every week, until we're at that level, I wouldn't begrudge him it. I didn't do it with Suarez, so I wouldn't do it with Coutinho. It's not like they're going to get him for a bag of oranges. We're going to be very well compensated. Do you know what I mean? So it's just life, mate. And in football, people take it too serious sometimes. If he went crap tomorrow, you know what I mean, we wouldn't want to see him in the side. So if he's doing really well, then this is what I mean. Loyalty's got to come from all directions. Fans are only loyal when you're playing well. Clubs are only loyal when they don't want to sell you. You know what I mean? It's just, hopefully he doesn't go, or I'll call him fit to burn. But I still believe, if you get to the level where you can play for the best side in the world, then you should take a chance. You should do.
Gav, are you in agreement with everything Ian has to say there?
Yeah, more or less. We look at these things as just because of the amount of money that's involved. You know, if you're in an everyday job and you're no good at it, your employer will get rid of you because you're no good at it. If you feel that you're better than the job you're in, you'll go and look for another job that'll probably pay you more, and you get, pensions or whatever you get out of the job, better terms and conditions, and further yourself. So it's the same in football. But you see, I have to remember, you're saying about this player power. The clubs give these players the power. Okay, when you go in and you sign a fella for £60 million and you give him £200,000 a week, you are handing the power to him. You are showing him what his value is to you. So immediately he thinks, I'm the dog's bollocks here. I'm one of the record transfers in the world. I earn 10 million a year. Of course you're going to swan around and have all the power. But like Ian said, if you sign a player for 25 million and give him a contract, and he gets a better contract again, and then somebody comes in and says, we'll give you 75. It's not as if you're walking away and, they're handing you a bar of chocolate and a packet of crisps and saying, here, there you go, patting you on the head, and he's going to the next club. It's not like that. It's only hyped up because of the money. And it is an everyday occurrence in any normal Joe Soap's world. It's just because of the money that's around it now. But like Ian said, at the end of the day, if a player wants to leave, he will leave because there's too much money involved. It's just not going to happen where you're going to say, look, we don't care about the money, you can sit and rot there. It's simply not going to happen. It's just not. And if it does, I'd be majorly shocked if any of the top clubs would do that with an asset worth that much. So yeah, it's just the way it is, and there's no stopping it. If you want to leave, a player will get a move. And at the end of the day, if a player doesn't want to play with your club, you don't want him there. You don't want him there. Like you look at even the disruption he can cause to a squad or a team. You don't want that around your club. I wouldn't sit at home and look at a player and think, oh yeah, we're doing great now, sitting him in the reserves and all. He's not just sitting on a bench every week. He's in around that club every week, and he can cause hassle, and it's not worth it. So he always will get the move.
Keith, from a slightly different aspect, I've seen this week that was it Saul signed? Was it Saul signed the 9-year deal with Atletico?
Yeah, we'll sell. Yeah.
Now that's kind of flipped this whole thing on its head. I had a conversation with Gavin during the week about this, and that I find that a really strange contract for a number of reasons. From a wage point of view, from an increase in his wages, from bonuses, just seems to be fucking mental to me that somebody signed a 9-year contract.
I think it. I don't know if it had something to do with how well he's played in the Confederations Cup and how there was such a big buzz around him. So what Atletico have done is said, you know what, we're going to make sure that we send a message out to everybody that he's a long-term project. And if you're going to want to sign him, you're not going to find a cheeky 2-year or 1-year deal left in a couple of years' time, and they'll still be locked into a major contract that means ultimately that someone's going to have to pay the big money to release him out of that contract. So I can understand it from a club's perspective. From a player's perspective, I think that he's been definitely had clauses in his contract where it's going to have a major raise as long as he keeps his potential up. So there could be potential for that to work best in both players' mind. I think in the kind of general scheme of things, at the end of the day, I don't ever believe that a club in this day and age are going to let a player rot on the bench. They're worth too much money. And like the lads have alluded to, have said, players, you're paying them the big money, the £100,000 a week. You're saying to them, you're special. We're saying to them, you're special by the reaction by saying, yes, they deserve this big money. So when more big money and better opportunities become available, of course, the players' egos inflated to such an extent where they feel like, yeah, I am special. Yeah, I'm even better. And I deserve to make that next step. And unfortunately, we just, we put them on the pedestal and we deserve to get bitten every time they get taken away from us. A la Raheem Sterling, Luis Suarez, all these type of situations here. As much as we want the loyalty, the reality is we've given them so much power that when they bite us in the arse, we have to accept it, because then the flip side of it is that we then do it to other clubs, like the whole Keita business. I've seen so many people debate about how Leipzig should accept where they stand as a club and how they should just accept the money and they're not too big to say no to the money and etc. You got to think from Keita to play at a club like that. That's how, like, if you're a Leipzig fan right now, you'd be pretty pissed off.
Hey Keith, the best one I seen was stop drinking Red Bull. Everybody boycott Red Bull around the world until they give up and sell us Keita.
People are rough. But then if that was to happen to us with Emre Can, we'd all be having a hissy fit. So from a fan's perspective, I think you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Going around saying, "Oh, don't drink Red Bulls" 1 minute, and then the next minute, when it, if it happens to Emre Can, everybody's going to say, "Stop buying hair cream." It's got to be a balance. So I think the fans have got to kind of rough it out, to be honest.
Grizz, I left you last specifically on this one because there's a couple of things I wanted to ask. One, obviously your opinion on it, but two, I want to know what role agents have to play in this whole scenario and how prevalent are they in players pushing the way of the clubs?
Well, I was going to say, the other guys have covered everything I was going to say, to be honest with you. And, they've actually, taken all the points away from me, which is as usual. But I'd say agents are more powerful than the players these days. And that's what the danger is. In the past, as far as we can remember, right, players have always had power. As I think Gav mentioned, no club likes to keep an unhappy player, right? But over the years, what's happened is the more money that's pumped in, the more value. He's right. The more value we give the players, when we say we, sorry, the clubs give the players in terms of their wages, in terms of their prestige, the valuation, the transfer valuation, automatically they become powerful because we know money equals power. It really is as simple as that. The equation is as simple as that. Now, the agents where it becomes dangerous because it's not always about what the player wants. The agents start thinking about themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. There's obviously brilliant agents out there, but we know there's some nasty fuckers out there, right? So, for example, we're hearing of this. Last year, we were hearing about this Ruben Neves super kid from Porto, right, where we were linked with him and all these fantastic clubs are linked with him. and he's off. I don't know if he's on the verge or he's signed for Wolves.
Yeah,
Does anybody know about that?
15 million. Apparently, it's very close.
For 15, 18 million. Now, to the layman, even to the layman, not that comes across so dodgy and just totally sort of, agents played a massive role in that. So I think agents are more powerful than the players these days, which is the dangerous thing. I don't think player power is a danger because it's always been there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want, Keita and VVD to sort of, to put down their foot and come to Liverpool and then maybe clamp down on player power. Selfish. Yeah, we're selfish. We want, for us when it's for our benefit, we say, let them play where they want to play. But as you said, when it's on the other foot, for example, if Juve come in for Emre or whatever, then suddenly Emre wants to go to Juve, we start, we turn nasty on our own players. So it is what it is. There's always been a hierarchy in football, and there will always will be. And it's just, it's just each. We have to take the rough with the smooth, as they say.
So just staying on agents though, Grizz, the part of it that gets to me is I don't think anybody really minds the money that they can understand the money that's spent on players, both in wages and in transfer fees, but of recent years we've seen some of the fucking ridiculous sums of money that are being paid to agents to get these deals over the line, and it is getting disgusting, the amount that they're making. Like they're making more than some of the players in the Premier League, to be honest. It's ridiculous. Especially, like, I think back of, was it Raiola recently?
Super agents, they're making far more than players. Because you got to remember. Go on, Keith. You was going to say.
No, but sadly, we are probably one of the highest paying clubs to agents
in terms of agent fees.
We're certainly not trying to solve the problem.
Yeah, but I think the reason we're one of the most highly paying to agents is because of the position we've been in over the last, let's be honest, 6-7 years, where Champions League probably once, twice this season now in the last 7 years, is it?
7 or 8 years, yeah.
Yeah, so when you're going in to do a transfer, the first thing you probably look at is saying to the agent, right, here, this player's worth X. Your cut is usually this, but we know the position we're in, so we're going to have to pay you over the odds in order for you to make the deal happen. I think that's why we've ended up being one of the highest paying.
I mean, it can go even worse. It's like Neves is going to Wolves, but Mendes, the agent, is in charge of Wolves transfers. So
it's a mental scenario.
He's only going to sign players that line his own pockets. So, I mean, I don't know how good that Neves is.
He's a very tidy player, and he's certainly above the level of Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Well, exactly. So I was going to say, so if he's as good as he was, or we were led to believe last year, then what's he doing in the Championship? It just screams that he's just, it's corrupt basically when he's just signing his own players that he represents and stuff. But I'm sure the Wolves fans won't mind. He'll be there a year. They'll make 10 million profit on him probably.
Yeah, they will. That's exactly what it is. It's basically a sign. You come here, you're my player. You come here. We all make out of it, and then we'll move you on to a Premier League team next season. Wolves will get an extra 10 million. You'll get a bigger contract because you'll be in demand again. It's all about moves and up a ladder, and then your super move if you're a really top player.
I'd be amazed, Gav. I'd be amazed if Porto don't have a sell-on clause in there as well.
You probably do, but you never know. Like,
impossible.
If he's the agent, you're right. He's the man doing the deal. You never know what's in it. Like, you look at the I don't know who Anthony Martial's agent is, but boy Jesus, he pulled off some deal there. There's the amount of add-ons, it's crazy, and it goes up to a crazy amount of money. But then when you look at Mbappe, he could end up surpassing that again. But just going back to players that around the club that, sit them in the reserves and all. I always remember going back, just when Chelsea started getting that money, or just prior to it, but the Dutch fullback Winston Bogarde, all right, and I always remember hearing the story about him where, I don't know whether he was injured a lot or whether he just wasn't in the plans, and he tried about 5 times to get rid of him, and he just said, no, I'm not going anywhere, because he could have been on 40 grand a week at the time, and the most he was being offered elsewhere was 20 or 30, and he just sat there.
Well, let's look at
his contract, so that now there's no way him sitting there taking 40 grand a week and the rest of the players working their asses off for probably less than what he was on because he was a high profile name at the time. There's no way that doesn't have a negative effect on the rest of the squad looking going, he's getting 40 grand and he's doing nothing for it, and we're working our asses off and getting half of it. So
But you know what we're saying?
That's another kind of element to sitting someone in the reserves. It's a myth that people will do it. There's just too many factors involved that just it does not work.
Grizz?
No, I was just going to say, we said that we need to, we want to see an example of sort of a high-profile player wanting to leave, but the club putting his foot down, right? Winston Bogarde he didn't want to leave, did he? He didn't give a shit.
Who the fuck is this Winston Bogarde fella you're talking
Winston Bogart. Winston Bogart was a Dutch right. Yeah, he was a Dutch right. Yeah, well, as I said, there is 2 or 3 ways.
I turned Steve McLaren.
Describe him. There is a couple of ways to describe saying his name, but no, Grizz is right. He didn't want to leave.
We never say that phrase. We never use the phrase Grizz is right on this show.
a mixture of injuries and probably being out of the plans of the manager, and he just stood firm and said, "No, okay."
But what I'm saying is that's an example of a player digging his heels, and that's again a sign of player power. I'm saying, can anyone of us or anyone listening out there can think of the opposite, where the club have sort of put their foot down and said, "No, you're not going anywhere. Go and stick in the reserves." Like we said, like there needs to be an example made.
Yeah.
Can anyone think of a high profile?
Into the reserves, no. Suarez probably, when he was linked with Arsenal, was one where Liverpool put their foot down, and then
Suarez kind of just.
What about Man City with Torre? Slightly different circumstances, but they did keep him out till they want him to apologise.
Torre's a fair shout until he apologised. Yeah, that's a fair shout. But no one sort of got dumped in the reserves and sort of. Well, I suppose Sacco maybe. Is Sacco an example?
Torre did get dumped in the reserves. He didn't get in the first team squad for about 6 months, did he?
Yeah, until he apologised.
Schweinsteiger at United as well.
No, but I'm talking about when players sort of want a big move. I mean, Sacco didn't want a big move, did he? Really? So I suppose Sacco's a example.
The only half, it's probably not a major one, but Berahino at West Ham or West Brom. Sorry, West Brom.
Yeah,
he did want to move, and everyone was linked to him, Spurs in particular. Yeah. And he was pushing, and then Pulis just turned him and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
25 million, you're going nowhere. And then when he didn't actually go anywhere, he just put him in the reserves.
But Tony Pulis looks like one of those fucking head teachers that, he does. He looks like a nasty head teacher that you actually find afterwards when you're grown up yourself.
Look where he ended up as well.
I tell you, if he was my head teacher when I was little, honest to God, I'd find him now. I would find him, definitely.
Right, lads, we've skirted around it. We've mentioned the names a couple of times, but I think the listeners want us to talk about it for a few minutes. So where are we on Keita and Van Dijk? Where are our hopes and dreams at this stage? Are they shattered, or have we still got a show for it? Keith, you haven't been in a while, so what's your hopes for Van Dijk and Keita?
My hopes are completely dependent on Grizz's tweets. Shout out Grizz. Shout out ARW's very own ITK. Shout out the main man himself. Honestly, this is just, Grizz. I know this is kind of not what we usually do, but he's got to give a major shout out just to kind of giving the information and keeping up to date with all this kind of stuff and loads of others. I genuinely believe that we are really gonna get our man. I believe that Leipzig do have their price. They're the owners of a company that they're businessmen at the end of the day, and I think that the money will talk, and I think that we'll hopefully get our man. And if we don't, then it's going to be all hellfire and brimstone. Good luck, Grizz. Good luck.
Well, Keith, when are we starting the Red Bull boycott? How long do we leave it before we stop drinking it?
I'm going with rejecting our second bid. Then that's it. No more Red Bulls for me. It's over.
That's it. Ian, no more Red Bulls. Are you going that far?
Nah, mate, it gives me the shits anyway. I never drink it, so screwed a lot of them.
No, I don't drink it either, so I've already started this. And I think I said it to you the other night, Craig. I'm 100% behind this Keita and Van Dijk thing. Like, if they don't happen, I'm going to be devastated now.
And you're usually the most reserved of us all, but you did say to me the other night, I'm fully on board now, Craig. I'm fully on this bus.
I'm fully on board because there's definitely something happening there with both of them, and Liverpool are definitely knee deep in this now. They're gone far enough in there where they've not shown their cards, but their intentions are known. So if one or neither of them were to happen, if we spent an awful lot of time going through this. I know it's early July, but we seem to be talking about this for a good month now. I agree with Keith. I think the money will talk at the end of the day. These are businessmen. And again, going back to it, if a player has decided he wants to go, are you going to keep him for that extra year to guarantee yourself whatever it is, whatever the 48 million or something is the number that's supposedly a buyout clause? Do you keep an unhappy player for a year just to get that? I don't think they do. I think Liverpool go in and I think they get him. Van Dijk is a different issue. That's gone really quiet, but I think, as we've talked about before, there's a reason why that's gone really quiet. Liverpool are tippy-toeing around Southampton at the moment, and I'd say they're just waiting for the green light. Something along the lines of Van Dijk telling Southampton, look, I really want to go, and Southampton saying, okay, listen, he wants to go. What are we talking? So I'm still really, really hopeful on both of them.
The thing, Gav, that gets me about Van Dijk, and I can't get my head past this, is Southampton's fucking fans really don't want us buying another player. Like, really, of all the things aboard, we can probably get around the money issue with them, but...
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, like, they've brought in a new manager, and, like, if they want to back that new manager, it's easy enough for that club to come out and say, look, we spoke to the manager, we spoke to the player, we felt the best thing to do was to get the best price we could for the player, and the manager just comes out and says, look, the player wanted to go, I agreed to let him go because I wanted a unified squad here, and I think I've brought in players that can make us as good, if not better. He comes out with all that fucking blasé stuff and, run-of-the-mill stuff, and fans will eat that up. You know what I mean? Let's be honest, most fans will eat that up. He'll probably, if he signs to Liverpool, he goes and plays at St. Mary's and they give him a bit of abuse, but look, I'd go to St. Mary's and take abuse for 150 grand a week. I do it every fucking week, so it doesn't...
Ian does it for free on YouTube.
Ian does do it for free, yeah. And
yeah,
fair play to him. But no, going back to it, seriously, I'd be really hopeful on both of them. And I'm at the stage now where I'm all in on them, and I'm never like that, but I'm all in on these two because I just see the reports on Keita is that he's electric, and Van Dijk is just this big fucking rock solid wall that we need. So they're the two I really want, and we better get them, or I'm going to start fucking having a ban against all sorts of stuff, anything I can think of.
Like, Grizz, Gav's basically sitting there in his Keita 8 t-shirt. What's your take on this? Now, I know you've had a bit of a tough day today on social media, so we're just going to caveat everything by saying whatever we say on this pod is our own opinion, and we're just mates talking here, so don't hold us to anything because we aren't linked, we aren't special people, we're just mates chatting. So what's your take, Grizz, from the feeling you're getting out there?
No, absolutely, man. I'm just as excited as Gav. Look, it's just Liverpool, isn't it? It's just pot luck. It's just us, isn't it? It's such a Liverpool thing that we've run into sort of the two of the most stubborn teams around at the moment, right? Because we couldn't have chosen a more stubborn team to deal with than Leipzig. They're flush with money. They don't need the money. All the ingredients are there for us to buy Klopp's first choice players, and we haven't been in that position for many a year where sort of our manager wants, his first choice midfielder is Naby Keita. Naby Keita, his choice preferred destination is Liverpool, right? Terms have been agreed. Personal terms aren't an issue. The only fucking issue is Leipzig, who, at the end of the day, we have to accept are going to try and get the best fee possible. Same with the Virgil van Dijk. We've gone through the Virgil van Dijk, so we're not going to go through that. We know what the situation is near enough. Everybody knows the situation. We cocked it up the first time round where everything was nearly done. Now we're sort of, it's true, we're treading on eggshells around them. We're just kind of waiting for Virgil van Dijk, sort of Southampton to either give us the green light, whether that's after Virgil van Dijk is put in a transfer request or matters can be resolved before that. So that is just waiting for a green light. Everything is go. Okay, it's just a matter of Southampton saying, "All right, go on." With the Leipzig, with the Keita situation, they're asking ridiculous amount of money. It's in the papers. They're asking for about 80 million euros, right? My understanding from what I know is they're willing to take around 70 million euro. Right, so it's a money thing, isn't it? We put the money on the table. Simultaneously, Keita says, "I want to go." it's just what we've discussed, isn't it? It's player power. Yeah. Can we see Leipzig turning around and saying no to 70 million euros or 60 million euros and having an unhappy player in the midfield going into a Champions League? Of course not. And he's pivotal for them. So, again, it's exactly what we've discussed. It's where player power kicks in, and hopefully it's in our favour this time. And look, I've got positive vibes on both of them. I think we will get both of them in the end, but it's a waiting game. I can see Keita developing far quicker than the VVD, as I've said for a number of weeks now, and I think they will happen, in my opinion.
Thank you very much. Gav, you want to come back in?
I just think you get I nearly forgot what I was doing there for a minute.
Happens when I talk.
No, if you look at it, like, I think some fans have to remember as well, we're shopping at a different level now.
Yeah.
And when you go in for players like I'll use Everton as an example, because there's been a lot written around Everton signings today, but the likes of Keane from Burnley, you have a guy from Ajax, and Ajax traditionally sell when they get the right money. You have another striker, I think. But if you look at they've signed a keeper from a really good keeper, in my opinion, from a relegated side. So they're easy signings to pick off, and they're the signings that we could have done no problem. We're shopping at a different level now. We're shopping in the top tier of player now, and it's so much harder than that mid-level or just below top level. It's so much harder to get a deal done, because you're dealing with clubs that, like Grizz said, they're flush with money. They've great squads. They're in the Champions League. They have contracts in place with players where they have sell-on clauses or buyout clauses in a year's time. They have everything in place to hold a bit of power when it comes to a transfer. So I think some Liverpool fans just need to take that into account as well, that we're shopping at the top table. We really are. And it's so much harder than what we've done over the last 5, 6, 7 years. So you just need to take that into account as well, I think.
Gav.
And we're not the only ones. Sorry, just to say, we're not the only ones.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? In terms of, look at Arsenal, look at United, look at Chelsea, look at City.
Yeah.
If you look at their timelines and their discussions on players,
it's
Arsenal have been separate, talk about Lacazette for months.
When did United sign Morata?
Yes.
Was it about 2 months ago?
Yeah.
No, he's due a testimonial at United, I think, at this stage.
There you go.
No, but it's exactly the same. No, exactly the same.
Everywhere. But Gav, go and get your XXX large Keita shirt.
Cheeky,
all right?
Cheeky bastard.
What do you mean? What's cheeky about that?
I'm a buying it for you.
You haven't met Gav. Gav's only about 5'2".
I didn't say nothing to the contrary. I just said get your triple. You let me finish. Get your XXX large.
Best of luck digging your way out of this one. Go ahead.
Get your XXX large t-shirt, right? And if he doesn't sign, give it to me or fit me. I'll take you up here. Get your shirt in, man. It's a done deal, man. Get it done.
Don't go out and get Firmino 11 on the back of it, though. Jesus Christ, don't do that.
Oh yeah.
Before we move on this, lads, I'm gonna just go around and ask you one by one. Two questions. Will we sign Keita, in your opinion, and will we sign Van Dijk? Gav?
Yes and yes.
Keith?
Yes and yes.
Ian?
I've changed. Yes and no.
You're saying no to Van Dijk?
Yeah, if you'd asked me last week, I'd say it was the other way around. But now I think we'll struggle to get Van Dijk.
Yeah, no, it's a fair shout. Grizz?
Why is Ian reading my mind and shit? I'm yes and no as well. My mind's. I'm swayed. Again, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, it would have been the other way around. But from what I'm hearing, the VVD one's a long shot, and the Keita one's a short shot.
I don't think I can move on.
I don't think I can. No.
But my body.
Lads,
sorry.
There's nothing wrong with a little bump and grind.
Ian knows my weak spot, man. He fucking starts to me.
There's nothing wrong with a little bump and grind, Grizz.
Yeah.
Right, lads, I was going to move on, but now that we've had a couple of no's on Van Dijk, I feel like I have to circle back around and say, what's the backup plan? Is Stefan de Vrij the best we can hope for here?
If Stefan de Vrij is the backup fucking plan, I swear to God I'm going to lose my mind. I don't think there is a backup plan. and that's why I'm saying yes and yes about them transfers. I think we are going to go and do whatever we can to get that player and pay whatever we need to pay to get it. And I'm all behind that. There doesn't seem to be a backup plan. Like all these mentions that Baresi, like Harry Maguire. There was the other lad that signed for Everton. You know,
Go and wash your mouth out.
Stop! I said he was Baresi, like,
but old.
Like now, Baresi.
I didn't know there was
Baresi now.
I didn't know there was a type of pudding called Baresi.
But no, like them two weren't a backup and shouldn't have been a backup. De Vrij, like I don't know. I don't think there is a backup. That's my personal opinion. I think they're all out for this player, and that fuck up a couple of weeks ago has put them back. But I think they're just going to wait and get their man. I genuinely believe that.
I gotta be honest, like I wouldn't be happy signing Stefan de Vrij either. I wouldn't say that.
I think he is dog shit. He's slow as balls. I'd rather have Lovren, and I mean that. So I don't see the point in signing him.
I'd rather personally teach fucking, and this will never happen, but I'd rather teach Saka how to fucking grovel than bringing Stefan de Vrij because...
Oh, there's no comparison in between those two as a defender. There's just not, like...
Like, it is tough, lads, because we're not... That's the thing that's worrying a lot of fans out there, is we're not hearing backups to central midfield or central defence bar de Vrij. And look, I watch a little bit of Serie A. I'm not going to lie and say I watch a lot of it, but he's never fucking stood out to me in anything I've watched.
Well, listen, one way of looking at it, or there's a few ways of looking at it, right? It's very hush-hush. There is no speculation, as you said. There is no names. The only way we're finding out of names is from sort of Egyptian journalists, if it's an Egyptian player, and sort of, Guinea journalists, if it's a Guinea, player from Guinea. So there's nothing coming out from local journalists or British media. It has gone very hush-hush. In my opinion, there has been a bid for de Vrij, and that's what kind of worried me when I found out that there has been a bid for thing. And from my understanding, as of today, what's the date today, lads? Because, we struggle with dates.
3rd of July.
3rd of July, and the year? 2017. All right, so as of today, Southampton refusing to deal with us. Now, we all know here, we're mature men, we all know, except Ian, we all know that things change, right? Money talks, people can change their mind, because at the end of the day, there's humans in charge of these clubs in terms of these transfers, in terms of the deals, and humans can change their mind. As of today, Southampton are refusing to deal with us, but there's a chance that they could change their mind, and we're ready. Tools, you name it, we're ready to go as soon as we're given the green light. But how long do we wait for that green light? You're right. Backups, there has to be backups. I think there are backups, but nobody knows who these backups are, and that's what's worrying us. That's what's panicking us, because the thing is, fans are weird, aren't they? We want names, right? But then when shit comes out, we don't want to believe the names, right? So it's a tough situation. There's no way the club haven't got backup plans, an A, B, or C, and I know there's a bid for de Vrij that was refused, and that's what got me thinking that Liverpool are unsure, and they're unsure that Southampton will let them deal with VVD.
Keith, there was a bit of goodwill today when Fat Finger Titi Kamara came out and said that Keita wants the number 9, and then it was fucking panic everywhere, and all of a sudden it was the number 8.
That was hilarious.
That was brilliant. There was a lot of shirts being ready and prepped to send back to headquarters after that. Do you know what I mean? That was brilliant. My view on the centre back pairings has remained the same. Avid listeners of our stuff would have heard me saying plenty of times that if our defenders are fit, if our centre backs could go a 38-game season without having injury, then I truly believe that Lovren and Matip could do a job for us, more than do a decent job for us in kind of putting paper over the cracks. I know Virgil van Dijk. For me, if you're not going to really go for a centre back as with the qualities of Virgil van Dijk that could take you to the next level, then there's no point in wasting your money. That's how I see it. We've got Mamadou Sakho, We've got, who looks like he's staying for the near future anyway. Looks like we're not in no hurry to sell him. I don't see a point in wasting money on a centre back who may or may not adjust to the life of the Premier League. When we do have a couple of centre backs who prove that they can do a job when they play consistently together.
I know deep down you're talking about Lucas. I know you are.
I still believe Lucas is a great fourth choice centre back.
Oh dear! Talk about licking ass.
Nah, I'm playing. Absolutely not. Lucas is there to. I said last week. Lucas is there to keep the Brazilians happy, nothing more. But Virgil van Dijk has to be our number one centre back. So I don't want to see us scrambling around trying to replace him with some maybe guy. If it doesn't, let's not waste the money. That's how I see it. Let's not waste the money. Naby Keita is something we actually need. Our centre backs just need to stay fit.
Right, so we're happy enough then that Naby Keita's possible and Van Dijk's looking a bit doubtful. Gav, put that fucking book down. You're doing me head in turning pages there, for fuck's sake. For the listeners,
it's just got pictures. It's proper just got pictures in it.
I know the listeners can't see this at home, but Gav's just looking through what looks like the most boring book I've ever seen in my life.
It's a colouring book. He's actually trying to read a colouring book. Work that one out, folks.
It's not. It's actually one of those where you join the dots.
How do you read a colouring book?
Do you know those pictures where you're supposed to focus on dots and see something?
Yeah, we're really getting into this, yeah?
I can never fucking see them.
Yeah, concentrate, mate. Concentrate.
Well, I'm colourblind, so all those I don't think those mystery pictures work if you're colourblind. Well,
Are you really colourblind?
Yeah, it's not something you brag about, mate, to pull the ladies. It's true,
I'm
like.
I'm not bragging. I'm not.
But
bragging.
How you love? I've only got a 3-inch penis, but I'm colourblind.
Yeah. So those pictures where you're supposed to stare at them and it's a boat or whatever. I've never seen one of them. Like,
you're not.
Don't get me wrong. I've got by. Like, my life hasn't really suffered because of it.
All mine turned into a custard cream.
I bet you've stood there and a couple of them going, "Oh yeah, I see it there now. Yeah,
I see it.
Jesus, lovely, yeah."
But no, Gav, put it away, Gav. It's a colouring book. Stop pretending to read it. But yeah, go on.
Right, moving on to more serious issues. Shrewsbury have applied to have some safe standing section in their ground, and it kind of got me thinking about this and the Premier League. And look, I know it's a very, very touchy subject, but where do we stand on safe standing? And I know this is all just personal opinion, and that's all it can be. And we know it's a touchy subject, and we're well aware of it. We don't want to tread on anybody's toes, but all we can do is give the 5 of our opinions on it and how we see things. I know many of us probably would have seen, I suppose, Celtic as a good example of it in recent times, and it certainly seems to provoke a lot of singing and bouncing and a good atmosphere in Celtic Park. Ian, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Would you like to see safe standing, 1, being allowed in the Premier League, and then 2, I suppose, ever coming to Anfield?
Yes and yes. I can understand people's apprehension on the matter, but especially with our club as well. But technology's changed a lot, do you know what I mean, in the last 25, 30 years, whatever. It wasn't necessarily to do with the standing or the seats or whatever that caused the disaster in the past. It was other factors like policing and stuff like that. I think Celtic have shown that it can be Celtic. There's not a more like raucous ground in the UK when the game's on. Do you know what I mean? Their fans are right up for it. They've shown that it's safe. If it's done properly, it's safe. And when I first started going to the game, the cop was standing, and it was just brilliant, proper brilliant. Don't get me wrong. If we scored and you got stuck behind one of those bars, it was dangerous. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, times have changed. So for me, I'd love to see it, even if it's just a trial basis. And when you've got people like Kenny Dalglish and even families of Hillsborough coming out and saying they'd be fine with it, it's just got to be done right then. You know what I mean? I think it's time sometimes. I mean, I get the sentimentality of it, but if done right, for me, there's no danger whatsoever.
Keith, we've heard fans last year moan about the atmosphere at times inside Anfield and moan about the main stand, not singing or not joining in or whatever, and whatever the cause may be, the bad atmosphere. Do you agree with Ian that safe standing should be brought in either way to Anfield or to the league in general? And do you think it would improve the atmosphere in any way?
Oh, absolutely to both. I think this country as a whole has had a pretty tainted record with the way in which safe standing used to be. In stadiums up and down the country, the way the police manage these situations and the kind of the whole complexity of the whole situation, caused so many issues. But I think we've vastly moved on now, and football itself and football fans are treated with far more respect. And I do believe that through this respect, you can logistically get it right with these modern stadiums that are being built up and down the country and have a section that is purely for standing. And it's just natural that by standing up, you'll be more inclined to be more vocal. You'll be more inclined to sing with your fellow fans. You'll be more likely to put your arms around each other and get bouncy and become much more energetic, as opposed to the way things are in stadiums up and down the country, whereby, even when you're standing up, you're being told to sit down if there's no real action's happening, and the only time you can really stand up is if the ball's coming towards the opponent's half. Other than that, you're kind of told to sit down, and when you sit down, you almost become just watching spectators. You shout a bit, you maybe shout a name or try and get a chant going, but it's a weird kind of human nature thing. Like when you're sitting down, you're more quiet, you're more reserved, as opposed to when you're standing up, you're more vocal. So having a safe stand, I don't see why you can't implement it with grounds up and down the country. I think it's just a case of clubs putting their heads together and really starting to think of a plan moving forward, because the Premier League needs it. Atmospheres up and down the country are not what they used to be. It's not just a Liverpool problem. It's not just an Arsenal problem. It's not just a City problem. It's a Premier League wide problem that you'll watch games on TV and it will sound quiet, it will sound timid, and safe standing can help rejuvenate it to really give off the atmosphere.
Thank you very much. And Grizz, where do you stand on this issue?
Yeah, this topic's it's a serious one, isn't it? It's emotive. It's a lot of feelings behind this kind of topic. But I completely agree with what Ian and Keith have said. It's got to be brought back in. It's just, we're living in a total different era now, with the amount of money in football, especially the Premier League, how we can't sort of work out a way to get safe standing, in my opinion, is a disgrace. It's absolutely a disgrace. Celtic is a very good example. I think he's right. I think clubs need to get together. There's so much advancement in everything, in the materials they use and whatever, in terms of architecture, how they set up these things, and it has to be brought back in. The atmosphere, the bouncing cop it was just synonymous, wasn't it, with our great club? And that bouncing cop has to return. And it would be amazing under Jurgen Klopp. That bouncing cop is, I dream to see that again, in my personal opinion.
Gav, where do you stand on this issue? Now, I suppose the correct technical name for it is rail seating and not safe standing, but where would you be on this issue?
As the lad said there, atmosphere-wise, I think it's a no-brainer. Put it into grounds. I know Celtic have trialled it, in one corner of their ground, and Jesus, some of the time when you watch it, it's unreal. Actually, just not even listening to the sound that comes off it, just the movement of the fans in there is unreal at times. So atmosphere-wise, yeah, I'd be fully behind it. Liverpool are in a kind of unique position when it comes to this because of everything that went on around Hillsborough, and the lads have touched on, it wasn't standing or seating or anything like that was the cause of the disasters, as we know. But I think when it comes to Liverpool as a club, they'll probably have a little bit more. It'll probably take them a little bit more time to get the feelings of everybody, because there is a lot of parties that will be involved that would have to give their input on this. But look, putting them aside, and people will have all different views on this. My view in particular is, it should be given a chance. If you do look at Germany, all over Germany, I think it's it's widespread in Germany from what I can make out. So, and I haven't heard of any major problems with it. And like you said, with Celtic, they trialled it a certain area. They could have went for a much bigger area in the ground if they wanted to, but they didn't. They kept it to an area, and they've had a look at it, and it's been a huge success. So, personally, for me, yeah, I'd go with it on the Kop and go from there. But like I said, our club is a little bit unique in this discussion, so you'd have to take everyone's opinion into view when you're going to make a decision on it. But just personally, yeah, I'd love to see it.
I'm sure all of our listeners at this stage probably know and have seen what the safe standing area and seats look like. But basically, what they are, it looks like a row of seating, but the seat is folded up and locked away to create safe standing areas. So everybody has their own personal space. But for the likes of concerts and UEFA games and stuff like that, where safe seating isn't allowed, then you can unlock and the seat can drop back down to give everybody their original seat that you would normally have. So if you haven't seen it, look it up, have a look at it, make your own mind up, have a read. We just thought we'd quickly address the subject because it was something we spoke about during the week. And it's a divisive issue amongst Reds, and I think we'll leave it there because it's probably a topic for another day if we wanted to get deeper into it, but we just wanted to touch on it and I wanted to gauge lads' opinion. Lads, to finish up this week, we'll do what we always do, and we'll go through some of the listeners' questions that they send in and see where we go with them. The first one this week comes in from a fella that sent us a great question last week, actually, and he goes by the name of @Chileros. So, again, excuse me if I pronounced that one wrong, but it's @CHOLEIROS. And what he wants to know is Sevilla's keeper, Sergio Rico, genuine rumour or just rubbish? Who wants to come in on that one?
I'll go first and tell you that I don't know. I don't even know that chap. I don't know if he's a real player or a real person. So,
to the best of my knowledge, he's about 23 years of age, 6'5", plays for Sevilla, obviously, and there's a lot of high hope for him to be the Spanish number one someday, and that's all I know.
Yeah, no, I like if you fill me with loads of information there because I know nothing of him. Me, I'd probably say it's rubbish. We've two keepers there. We've one that's back off loan that they don't look like they want to send out on loan for some reason. So a fourth keeper in, I don't know unless one of them leaves. But no, at the moment, it's probably rubbish, and that's only because I don't know anything about him.
Keith,
I mean, I just don't. It makes no sense at all unless Klopp has changed his mind on Karius. And he thinks that maybe Karius might not be the man he thought he was, then this makes no sense. Why are we gonna go through two windows and spending 10 to 50 million pound each on goalkeepers when Simon Mignolet is obviously going to be the undisputed number one goalkeeper for Liverpool FC for many years to come? It just wouldn't make any sense to me. So,
Keith, I was hoping for a serious answer. To be honest, mate. I mean, I don't like you treating the listeners' questions in such a haphazard way.
He is serious. It's just upsetting you, which is a bonus.
Has anybody got anything they wanted to add to Keith's other fucking nonsense there?
I don't believe it. I think Mignolet had an excellent season last year, especially the last 3 months. He was fantastic, and I'm not his biggest fan, but you got to give props when it's due. Do you know what I mean? He played as big a part as anyone getting us into the top four. So unless he has an absolutely horrific start to the season, he's going to be Klopp's goalkeeper next season.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. He was very good for the second half.
He was very good, and this is where if Mignolet starts the season, I know this is going on a slight tangent, but if Mignolet starts the season, this is where Mignolet has failed to prove himself over the last couple of years. When he starts as number one, he seems to drop off, make mistakes, and it takes a massive mess up and another keeper to come in and play 8 to 10 games and not be as good for him to get back in. He needs to go in with that form that he had for the last 3 months of the season and continue it. And that might be where Klopp is a little bit worried if there's any substance to goalkeeper movement in the squad, but I don't think so.
Oh, guys, I'm just going to give my opinion. It's going to be a bit different. It might be a bit shocking. I don't know about this rumor. It's not one of my exclusives. I have no idea who this.
You know, I'm
it's
thinking
not-
of changing your fucking account name to IndyCar.
Wait, man, let me finish first. Right, so this, what's his name? Sergio Rico.
Yeah.
Right. No, we don't know nothing about him. But what I will put out there is, Keith just touched upon it, that maybe Klopp doesn't think Karius is exactly what he thought he was going to be, or has him doubts about him. And I've got my own personal theory, just a personal theory. There's nothing to it. There's it's no facts or anything behind it. It's just a personal opinion. I don't think he's convinced about Karius. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't think he's convinced about Karius.
Interesting.
Carry on.
Yeah. Let's just quickly, before we move on, what do we all think of Danny Ward?
I like him a lot. I
lovely hair.
I really like.
He's lovely hair, Gav. You're right. Lovely hair.
How tall is he?
Yeah.
Oh, 6'2", 6'3", big, right?
I can't see the colour of his hair then.
No,
Yes,
it's-
that's true. That's true.
If he's taller than you, you don't know what colour of hair he has. That's true.
I'd be more than happy with him as our number 2.
I would as well, mate.
Wouldn't faze me at all. Last
I
season
think
with Huddersfield, he made a couple of mistakes early on in the season, and they were a bit unsure. But then after that, he was outstanding, and obviously he done brilliant in the playoffs and stuff.
Ian,
Well,
I think
go back
there's a
to-
big.
I-
I think
as
there's
a
a
number-
very big fight for Ward and Karius to be who's our number 2 this season. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I think it's a serious fight.
But you see, you have to go back to the thing is, you're happy with him as a number 2 in an emergency. That's what number 2s are looked at. I mean, they're meant to push the number 1, but it doesn't really happen. You have a clear number 1 usually at the club. But are you happy that if Mignolet starts 4 or 5 games at the start of next season, he's horrendous, and we're gone past the 1st of September, are you happy for Ward to be the number 1 for the rest of the season?
Not really.
Well, there, you're not happy with him as number 2 then.
Well,
That's the whole point of number 2.
don't tell me what
see,
I'm thinking, Gav.
No, I know what you're thinking.
No,
and that's
no,
exactly-
I get your point. No, I wouldn't. I'd be all right with him, but there's better out there. Do you know what I mean? But like you just said, better keepers don't want to sit on the bench. So
I don't want to get your hopes up, lads, but I could probably get Alex Manninger back.
Oh,
yeah,
please,
true.
come
But
back. All is forgiven.
I'd prefer
give him all the Red Bull,
Ian's
you're not going
dog
to be
Brian
drinking.
in goal than Alex Meninga.
Hey, leave my dog out of this podcast.
He hasn't signed an image rights deal yet, so
No, he
stop
hasn't.
mentioning his name. But no, look, what about keepers? And we probably will go on all about keepers for the whole season. But Danny Ward went out on loan, done really well at Huddersfield. He's back. There was talk of him going to Huddersfield back on loan. That's been maybe just Klopp wants to look at him over pre-season to see. But I'm not. I don't know how happy I am with any of the goalkeepers. I think Mignolet's been really good, but I'm just still concerned that he can just fall off a cliff 6 games into a season. And then we're looking at Karius that has had his confidence shot after 8 games or so for Liverpool. You have Danny Ward coming back from a season in the Championship. Is he up to a season in the Premier League at a club that should be chasing major trophies? So it's a bit of a weird one, but I don't know if bringing another one in is the answer.
I mean,
No,
it's
I
a bit
don't
of
know
a
whether-
statement, but I would rather, and I love Keita, but I would rather Liverpool spend £60 million on a truly world-class keeper than Keita in midfield.
Yeah,
I'd
that's not
probably
a bad
agree
thing.
with that. You know what? I'd probably agree with that myself.
That's what I'd rather. But
I don't think that changes. Honestly, I know I harp back onto this and I sound like a broken record sometimes, but I don't think the person in goal will change the fact that we don't have a settled back four. And until we have a settled back four, it doesn't matter who's in goal, whether it's Karius, Ward. At the end of the day, an unsettled back four brings the keeper, it makes the keeper at time confused. There's miscommunication and it causes issues. And I think some of Karius's, when Karius was debuting, some of his worst moments were in times when we kept having injuries to our centre-back pairings, and there was that lack of communication and there was that lack of trust because it hadn't been built up over a 10, 15 game period. So that is just as vital as who stays in goal for us.
So for me, being a member of the Goalkeepers Union, what I'd say to that is that any goalkeeper that is worth his salt should be organising a defence no matter who's there. Now, I do agree a settled back four is obviously better than a non-settled back four, but I think there is a lot a goalkeeper can do, a good goalkeeper, to ease that situation, and especially on set pieces and corners. and giving his defence instructions, and in how he breathes confidence in the defence that they know that behind him there's a solid keeper who's good with his feet, who'll come and command his box. I think there's a touch of everything to it, but I do think that a good goalkeeper can be as effective, probably even more so than the likes of a good centre back. For me,
Yeah, but I think if, like Mignolet has shown signs of that. He was a lot more commanding of his box. Commanding of his box is a weird saying to me. You know, he doesn't command the box. You just come out and you deal with what you need to deal with. But if you look over the last 3 months of the season, where we thought he was excellent, he had a mixture of, it could be Lovren, Matip, it could have been Matip, Lucas, Ragnar Klavan. There was a big mixture of centre backs there, and he seemed to excel through that last 3 months when there was a mixture of centre halves. So he's obviously improved in what he was doing. He just seemed to be a lot more proactive. When a ball came in the box, he wasn't waiting. He was getting out. He was getting a hand.
Yeah, he was just very committed, wasn't he?
He was committing to things, and he was saying to himself, "Look, if I go out 10 yards out off my line here, I'm punching it. I'm fucking heading it if I have to." And you couldn't fault the chap. My only worry with Mignolet is when he starts a new season, he falls into this kind of relaxed mode where he thinks he's all okay now, and then he drops badly. And I just think the likes of Ward or Karius, because I haven't seen enough of him, Karius because there's no doubt his confidence was knocked last season after being, injured at the start, brought in, didn't do great, and suffered from some of the stuff that Mignolet had suffered previously. I don't know if he can come back and do it. So maybe there is a little bit of truth in this rumour, but I can't see a 23-year-old from Spain coming in. Like, you look how good De Gea is, and when he came to England, he was bullied for the first year he was here, and we haven't got time to mess around with keepers. We genuinely don't. The time isn't there anymore to mess around with keepers. It's too competitive in the league, so I'm pinning my hopes on Mignolet just holding on to the form that he has now.
Right, so an answer to the listener's question, that's a no to Sergio Rico coming to the club. So
I'd rather we sign Spider Rico out the first Rocky.
That's gone way over my head. I have to admit that's gone completely over my head, and I thought I knew the Rocky films.
That's the first person he fights in the first film.
What does he look like? What does he look like?
He's not Mr. Tigris, don't get confused.
A big fellow with curly afro. He's also in the remade Rocky when he works in the restaurants in the pot wash. I've got to get out more.
Again?
I've got because he's about 78, but
yeah, but that's what
I can see you at home now with the robe on and the gaff. Do you know that the waist thing from around your waist tied around your head?
Wait, hold on.
You and Brian on the sofa bouncing up and down.
Oh mate, you can't beat Rocky. If you don't like Rocky, we can't be friends.
So this fella is the first one who fought in the first Rocky.
In the first Rocky, yeah. You know when he elbows, he's getting beaten and he gets elbowed and he loses his shit and just batters him on the ropes. That's Spider Rico.
I never watched the Rocky film.
Well, you can shut up anyway then.
Off. No,
I never did.
That has to be a wind up. It has to be a wind up.
I haven't.
He hasn't watched James Bond. He hasn't watched Rocky.
Bond. No, I've never watched
Star Wars.
Any of those Harry Potters. No, Star Wars. None of them. No.
Sopranos.
Go back to you.
Sopranos. I've watched. Yeah.
You say that like it's an obvious thing. Like Rocky is completely out there. Like
I can't believe you never watched Rocky.
No, I've never watched the Rocky film.
I'm disgusted. I think we should make the next Woolcast all about Rocky and make Gav sit through the whole box set.
I can't go down much more in your opinion, Ian, so there's no point.
I didn't think you could, but then you come up with that pearl of wisdom there.
When I come over to see you, we'll sit and watch the box set together.
Oh yeah. Well, if you don't mind me being naked when it's on, that's fine.
Absolutely not. Just Brian covering your modesty.
So, who's going to be Mr. T and who's going to be Dolph Lundgren?
I'll be Dolph Lundgren because I'm.
Ian's definitely Dolph Lundgren, especially with his new haircut.
Does that make Tino Mickey?
Tino's like Adrian.
Do you know?
I knew that. I knew that was.
We did it. I think we're going to leave it there for this week, lads. We've covered an awful lot of things, but there's just a couple of things I want to give a shout out to before we go off. Last week we started a new show on our YouTube channel called Ask Mysterio, and it was absolutely brilliant. I have to say, the whole premise of the show is that we get listeners or people that follow us on Twitter to send us in any question they want, and I mean literally anything. And Ian, aka Red Mysterio, has to answer the question and has to answer it honestly, and it provided us with some great laughs. So go and check that out if you haven't already seen it. The YouTube channel is called ARW Now, and there's all our content is on there, but that show in particular went down very well last week. We also have the competition to give away the 2005 signed Champions League shirt, the signatures by Garcia, Haman, Smeetzer, and Cisse. Just go on to our Twitter page. You'll see the competition tweet, retweet it, follow us. You can get a second entry by going onto YouTube and subscribing to the YouTube channel. Jonathan will be back with ARW Weekly on Thursday, and that about does us for the week, guys. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.